This may be one of the most mind-boggling situations in all of college basketball right now. Let me ask you guys a question. How does one said player go from a 5-star recruit on top of the world and everybody knows his name to now a guy that no one even talks about? We've done our fair share of stories and videos on this channel. Normally players fall off in 4 to 5 years, but in this scenario it only took 1 or 2. And by saying fell off, I mean that in no disrespect, it's just the truth. Oh yeah guys, real quick, if you want to see a double upload today, I'm feeling good. If we can get 500 likes on this video in 2 hours, we'll double upload. Now, let's continue on with this video. Let's get the obvious stuff out of the way first. Noah Farrakhan in high school was a 5-star recruit and most people thought he was the #1 point guard in the country. I'd even go as far as to saying he had one of the best fan bases in the country because he was blowing up on YouTube and everybody loved this kid. I made a video talking about what happened to him and all that good stuff, so if you want to go check it out, you can do so. Eventually, Noah would commit and sign with East Carolina, and it wasn't good, I'll just leave it at that. He only averaged 3 points per game, 1 rebound, and 1 assist. He barely even played though, and it's such a small sample size, so it's hard to judge his performance that season. He only appeared in 12 games and only played 10 minutes in those games. He wound up shooting 40% from the overall field and 33% from the 3-point line, but like I said, it was such a small sample size. Here's where things start to get weird and it starts to get you thinking. You don't see too many 5-star recruits or former 5-star recruits go to a small school like East Carolina. My original and my same theory behind that is that he knew he wasn't good enough to play at a big time major program, so that's why he did go to a smaller one. But that's where it backfired because he still wasn't good enough to get playing time at that program. Before he even got to ECU, we saw his game decline slowly in high school because he was a 5-star recruit, but by his senior year he got D-ranked to a 4-star recruit. And then if that wasn't bad enough, he also got as low as a 3-star. This all happened within 1 year. That's not a minor or just a small inconvenience. That is a major red flag. We see players occasionally go from unranked to a 3 or 4-star, and that's somewhat normal. But it's not normal to see a player go from a 5-star to a 3-star within a couple of months. The reason for that, and it's fairly simple, his competition and people around him, they caught up to him and passed him. There's always this misconception where people think a player gets worse, but no, that's not the case. He didn't get better or worse, people passed him. I hate using the term and saying he peaked in high school because everyone uses that way too much, but he did peak around his junior or sophomore season. He was way more athletic and overall just a better player than every single guy in his class. But eventually those same players would get better and his game got stagnant. I do want to address this because anytime you bring up his name, I always see this argument and it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. I've seen multiple people state the fact that they try to say that he fell out of the love with the game and maybe he don't like it as much. I'm not saying that can't or it won't happen, but that's way too early to even say because he was just a freshman last year in college. When players fall out of love with the game, it's normally in their junior or senior season, not in their first couple of years. I still think he has the love for the game, so I'm throwing that theory out of the window. Back on topic with Noah going to ECU, we need to speak on this. Many people were shocked by his decision because he could have went to a better school, so why did he go there? I somewhat agree with this. When you go to a big D1 school, you may not play right away, but you're going to get better being around other better players. And then too, when you go to East Carolina, no disrespect, you're not going to be in the spotlight because nobody cares about them. So going to ECU, many people thought he was shying away from the competition and the big stage. I don't feel that way. This is what I think was going through his mind. Like I stated earlier, he knew if he would have went to a better school that he probably wasn't going to play at all. Therefore, he thought with going to East Carolina, he could be the star player and the main guy from the jump. Did that happen and go the way he wanted it to? Absolutely not. But I firmly believe that's the sole reason as to why he chose to go to that school. One of the hardest things in life is when whatever you're doing, you reach your peak and you reach the top and then you fall off. That's harder and more difficult to deal with if you weren't even at the top at one point. And here's why. When you get a taste and get used to being number one, when you go back to the bottom, it's absolutely dreadful because you know how great it was up top. Whereas if you're at the bottom and you're always at the bottom, you're not going to think it's that bad because you've never had anything better. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, moving on with this video, we gotta discuss this. Earlier this year, Noah did put his name in the transfer portal and everybody saw this coming. The question wasn't, was he going to transfer? The real question was, where is he going to transfer? And after a couple of months of thinking about it, he announced only a couple of days ago that he's going to transfer to Eastern Michigan. That's pretty interesting, I'll just say that. Doesn't really add up or make any sense at the moment, at least for now. I'm not saying it's going to work out, but I'm also trying to say that nobody saw that coming either. I'm going to be very blunt in this. Let's address the elephant in the room. Everybody's wondering the same thing. Can Noah Farrakhan flip around and change his basketball career and put it on the right track? To answer that question completely honest, I don't want to beat around the bush. I don't think he can, and I think the answer is no. And you know me, I'm not just going to say something without facts and stats to back it up, so let's take a look at them. As much clout, hype, and attention that Noah had in high school, he still never put up ridiculous stats, and people don't even realize that. I never thought he was a great player. I thought he was just a good player that got a lot of exposure. You can be the best player in the world and average 55 points per game, but if nobody's posting your highlights, it doesn't matter because nobody can see it. For Noah, I almost feel like it was right place at right time when he started to blow up. In high school, he rarely and he struggled to break double digits and even average double figures. When he played for IMG Academy, he was putting up some assists and some points, but nothing crazy. His freshman, sophomore, and junior year when he was on the rise. But listen to this. As a senior in high school, he only averaged 7.1 points per game and 2.4 assists. To go along with that, he shot 40% from the overall field and 34% from the three-point line. Not too shabby. 7 points and 2.4 assists. I mean, I'm not knocking the stats, but they're really not that great. And they're not even good, and I don't even know if they're average. And then look what happened at East Carolina. He only averaged 3 points per game. He barely played, and I understand that 100%, but there's a reason he wasn't playing. Maybe he wasn't performing in practice. Who knows? I feel like Farrakhan and East Carolina, they didn't fit in, and him and the coaching staff, they didn't get along, and they weren't on the same page. You can be a great basketball player, but if you're not in a great support system, that's going to affect your game dramatically. Maybe Farrakhan and the head coach at ECU, they didn't see things on the same page. It happens, and that's why he transferred. And now, this leads us into the final and main question of this video. Will this be, and is this the end to Noah Farrakhan's basketball career? For starters, let's look at this. Whenever you go to a college out of high school, it takes roughly a year to fit in with the players and get comfortable with the new school. Whether that's getting used to campus, getting used to your dorm, and getting used to the facilities and the staff and players, that's up to you. This is now Noah's second school in 2 years. And one thing to remember is that he transferred 2 to 3 times in high school. I personally don't think that's a major concern, but some coaches think when players transfer a lot in high school, it means that they're not committed to a program and they give up easy. I do agree with that somewhat, but I don't think that's the scenario with Noah because he was transferring to get better in high school. However, where things start to get messy, I guess you could say, is that he's transferring into a new school, so he's got to get used to the system, and there's other players that are coming in and that are going to be ahead of him. So at East Carolina, he was already having a hard time fighting for playing time in a starting spot. It's more than likely going to be the same thing at Eastern Michigan. And then if you really think about it, it may be harder because if he would have stayed at ECU, he might be starting next year. Now at Eastern Michigan, things may be a little different. For the sake of this video though, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's say he does start from the jump. Well, even if he does start, why would I or you even be led to believe that he's going to produce big time numbers or even efficient numbers? In high school, even when he was playing, he struggled to put up at least decent numbers. The sad truth about Noah, and I hate to say it because he seems like a great guy and a great kid, and it's nothing personal. This is basketball related. The sad truth, and unfortunately, I hate to say it, I really do, but Noah is not a great basketball player, and he's not even a good college basketball player just yet because we haven't seen anything. If you want to go even farther with it, if you go back to high school, his numbers are never really that impressive, so it doesn't add up that he even was getting all the hype he was. I personally don't see him turning his career around, and I don't see him proving anybody wrong. I really don't. He's not a big point guard, and I'd even say he's roughly undersized, so he's not going to overpower you. And he's never been known for his shooting ability. The only thing he's really been known for is his athletic ability and his passing. And that's where your top dogs and regular dogs start to separate themselves, because in college, everybody's athletic, so it doesn't really matter. This could be another case and scenario where maybe Noah transfers again down the line. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm wishing him the best, I really am. Maybe Eastern Michigan is the spot in the school where his career turns around for the best. Maybe he has a breakout year this or next year, and he has a breakout college career, and he could get drafted one day. It could happen. But coming back down to reality, it ain't gonna happen. It's not. I'm going to throw it out here now. If he gets drafted one day, you can come back to this video and say I was wrong, but I'm not going to be. I think his low ceiling, as far as the bottom line and the rock bottom, is that he's just a role player, because he's good enough to be a role player. On the contrary, his ceiling and the highest level he can reach is I think he could be a good college basketball player, not a great one. I'm talking about a player that, you know, has the 3 or 4 year career that could change a program around. The good thing about all this is that he's so low that nobody expects anything out of him, so the only way from here, it's up. Maybe you are, I can't speak for you, but for me, I'm not expecting anything out of this guy, so anything we do get is going to be a positive. He could prove me wrong and make me eat my words, and if he does, I'll make a video and I'll give him my credit or his credit, and I'll say I'm sorry. Will this be the last stop for Noah Farrakhan? Will he change his career around? Will he transfer again? Who knows? All I know is that I can only go off of the information and what I've seen so far, and it's not looking too bright. I'm very curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. But, oh yeah guys, before we end this video off, if you want to see the double upload, 500 likes in 2 hours, we'll double upload tonight. But with all that being said, it's going to wrap up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. If you're new to the channel, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and leave a like for more. And as always, let's be great. I'm out, y'all.